What's going on, sports fans? Coming at you with another video today. We're going to talk about the Detroit Lions. Now, I know a lot of people think that the Detroit Lions are in massive trouble. They lost their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, to the Chicago Bears, and yesterday they lost their defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, to the New York Jets. Now, in my opinion, do I think the Detroit Lions are in trouble? No, I don't. Why? You still have Dan Campbell as your head coach. And we know that that organization is a very good organization, that is a very player friendly home. A lot of people love Dan Campbell, love the environment he brings to that team, and how he coaches and how he builds up his players, his staff, and how he takes responsibility for things that happen. He takes the responsibility onto himself. Case in point, their loss in the playoffs, he said it was his fault. It was on him. And he was very emotional about it. And I know a lot of people give him crap about that, but I don't. I like seeing head coaches that are very emotionally attached to their team, to their players. So it really hasn't been talked about who he might get in to replace his offensive and defensive coordinator. But I think they'll probably wait till all the head coaching positions are filled and then see who's available. You know, could Mike McCarthy go up there if he doesn't get a head coaching job? Possibly. Possibly. Do they go in the route of looking at college teams? Maybe. But do I think the Detroit Lions are in trouble? No, I don't. They have a very good team. I know they were decimated this year with injuries, but all those players will be back. Aiden Hutchinson will be back, and that he is a big key factor on their defense, right? Now, looking at the offense, you know, they got Sonic and Knuckles, but Jared Goff, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with the quarterback position. You know, everybody's saying that the Rams won that trade with Matthew Stafford because they got a Super Bowl ring and the Lions have not won in the playoffs, right? But in my opinion, do I think the Lions are in trouble? No, I honestly do not. I don't think they're in trouble. Not with Dan Campbell up there running that team. Not with the players that they have there. The environment he's built. So, no, the Lions aren't in trouble. And you know, maybe he brings in former players as coordinators, right? I mean, that could happen. I don't know. I really don't. A lot has not been talked about it, and it's not really going to, especially that it's, you know, just happened in the last couple of days of losing his offensive and defensive coordinator. But then again, this is what I talk about. You know what I've been talking about. Why coordinators need to wait to be interviewed to after the Super Bowl for head coaching positions, because they lost, and it wasn't, 2 days later that Ben Johnson was named the head coach of the Chicago Bears. It wasn't, 4 days later that Aaron Glenn was named the head coach of the New York Jets. So even Bill Belichick brought this up. When a coordinator is interviewed for a head coaching position, they most likely know they're going to get it after the end of the interview. So are their attentions divided? Yes, they are. Even though they got to get their team ready to play a playoff game, their attention is still divided because they're like, oh, well, now I got to build a staff. I got to worry about a new team. What's my quarterback? What's my owner want? The general manager, I got to get with them. We got to build an environment here. And so, yes, I feel that it was a huge distraction for the Detroit Lions. And for a player's coach like Dan Campbell, because that's exactly who he is. He is a player's coach. He is. Being a former player for the Detroit Lions, he definitely is a player's coach. You know, he was on the team when they went 0-16. So he knows what it's like to be in a losing environment, and he does not want that for his team. He wants a winning environment. He wants a player-friendly environment, and he is going to put his heart and soul out on that field every single week for the Detroit Lions. So no, the Detroit Lions are not in trouble. And anybody out there saying that they are, don't know what they're talking about. They are full of it. No, the Detroit Lions are not in trouble. You still have Dan Campbell. As long as you have Dan Campbell, you are perfectly fine. He is going to bring in the right people for his offense. He's going to bring in the right people for his defense. He is going to build that team back up, and they are going to be in the playoffs again next year. I have seen people going, oh, the Lions are going to be, they're not even going to win the division next year. They're not even going to get into the playoffs because look what they lost in their offensive and defensive coordinator. No, 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 no. No. That is not going to happen. Dan Campbell is going to bring in the right people, and it's going to be a business as usual. That is my opinion. As long as you got Dan Campbell on that sideline, firing his team up, building them up, that team is going to be perfectly fine. So all you Detroit Lions fans out there, step back. Let this loss wash over you, and get back to work. Support your team. Support your coach. I do know that a lot of people talk about Jared Goff. Is he the right guy? I don't know. Maybe they go out for a free agent quarterback to bring in some quarterback competition. They look at the draft, bring in somebody in the later rounds and have Goff be a bridge quarterback until his contract is up. I don't know. That's probably what Dan Campbell's going to look at. It possibly is. That would be my opinion. Because a lot of people are putting the blame on that game on Jared Goff. And I can understand it. I mean, he had 3 turnovers. And so he didn't look like he was ready for the game, in my opinion. But Dan Campbell was. Dan Campbell was ready for that game. And you could tell in the emotion when they lost how much it hurt him and how much it affected him. And it makes me wonder, in the back of his mind, was he thinking, man, my offensive and defensive coordinator are not mentally here right now. And, he's never going to place the blame on them. That's not Dan Campbell. That's not his style. That's not his personality. He will place the blame on himself because he'll feel that he didn't have them ready. He didn't have the team prepared. Even though all the talk, all the interviews, and all the other noise out there with the offensive defensive coordinator, he is going to feel that it was his fault. That he is the one who the blame should fall on. And that is what you want in a head coach. That is exactly what you want. That is the environment you want for your team. That is a player-friendly environment. Dan Campbell is going to be in the trenches with you every single week. It is not going to ruin this team. No, it's not. Dan Campbell is going to have his team fired up this offseason and ready to go. So as a Lions fan, you Lions fans out there, you have a lot to look forward to. He's going to bring in the right people. He's going to build that team up. And again, he's probably going to bring in some pieces that he feels will make his team better. The one I would really look at this year is another quarterback. Again, I don't know if he's going to get in free agency. I don't know if he's going to pick up a quarterback in the draft. We'll have to wait and see. There's some quarterbacks out there in the draft right now that aren't going to go until the later rounds. So, because this is a running back, tight end heavy draft class, not quarterback class. And then maybe he does it. Maybe he does it and waits till next year because they're saying next year's quarterback class is supposed to be bigger and better. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Again, this is the early stages of the off seasons for all the other teams that are out of the playoffs. They're worried about losing coordinators. They're worried about losing staff. They're worried about free agency coming up in 2 months. So they will build their team up, right? Dan Campbell will build his team up. So as Lions fans, just sit back, exhale, and realize Dan Campbell's going to have this team right back in the playoffs, most likely win the division, and it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you are a Detroit Lions fan, are you hurting? Are you worried? Or do you agree with me that Dan Campbell's got this team ready to rock and roll next year? But I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next one. Peace!